a compass that doesn't point north. Quick history. In 2022, at Burning Man, we got an idea that it would be cool to have a compass that always points to the man. And as I got back, I decided to build it. At the time, I didn't care about the size. I wanted to make only one unit just to show off. And this is the first box that I used for field testing. You see, it's quite bulky. I mean, it's empty now, but it has the controller and everything. And I put coordinates of a local cafe, gave the compass to my kids, and let them find it to get some churros. Now, I realized two things. First, it's too big, too bulky. Second is it's not enough to just point to the man, to one point on the map. It's quite boring. I decided to make it point to different interesting places at Burning Man. In spring 2023, there was a local event, Utopia. It's a Burning Man event in San Diego. And I made a compass that has all the locations of art objects at that event. And this was my first working prototype. It wasn't finished. All the edges are not, the finish is quite bad here. The back lid was glued shut, so it wasn't even rechargeable at the moment. I had to cut it out as I got back. And then at the end, I realized a couple things. First is that this dial is hard to use at night. I had always to use a flashlight, and it was very inconvenient. Second, the item is bulky, quite big. And third is that GPS reception was very poor, and that control, I needed to replace GPS controller. So as I got back, I decided to scrap everything and start from scratch. At first, I used Arduino Nano Sense controller, and as you see, it's quite big. The bracket for the motor is quite big, and it has a charger, which also for a battery, which also takes some space inside the compass. You might have guessed that the compass is inspired by Pirates of the Caribbean. Jack Sparrow had a compass that always points to the deepest desire of your heart, which was, for the most of the movies, was either Black Pearl or rum. But in our case, it's the man. The compass would always lead you home. So for the 2023 Burning Man, this is the version I made. This is version 1, first production version. I had 3 of those. It had not only art objects, it had a schedule of interesting events that are happening, and it would always point you to the closest interesting closest interesting adventure. And this size is almost identical to the one you can see in the movies. It's a little bit thicker, a couple millimeters wider, but otherwise it is a decent copy, and all the details, the latch, the size of the ring, leather insert, sky map, everything is cloned from the movie. And I took it to Burning Man. And do you know how many people recognize that it is Jack Sparrow compass? 2. 2 people through a whole event. Now what's interesting in this device? I made this lead to make charging port accessible. I had to change the controller. This is Xiao, much smaller as you can see. Controller is much smaller as you can see. I removed the charger, so the charger is external. The GPS is still big, but it's a much more powerful receiver. And I optimized the bracket around the motor to make it smaller and more compact. Yeah, getting to this size was quite challenging. But yeah, anyway, I did it. Another interesting thing is, as you can see, when you close the lid, it snaps in. In the first version for Utopia, I was doing this all the time, and it was, yeah, it didn't close, it was annoying. So now here, you cannot open it, but you can close it very easily. And the dial is glow in the dark. I highlighted in some other videos. The dial glows at night, so it makes it much more interesting to use. In 2024, I decided that Compass deserves a unique design, especially since very few people remember the original movie. So I spent a year working on the visual aspects of it. Now you can clearly see that it's a compass, and it has glow in the dark powder inlay. Backside has accurate sky map. The night man burns. You can now open it and close it even easier. I added the map of the event with street names, and man and the temple is depicted as a heart. And the sundial is actually accurate. It shows accurate time for the Black Rock City, for the Black Rock Desert location. It uses same hardware as the previous generation. I didn't have time to upgrade anything there, but it's still a little bit thinner, uh, a, a little bit smaller, and I'm actually quite happy with how it turned out. For 2025, I am changing the hardware inside the compass again. With this design, to access the charging port, I have to remove all screws and remove the lead, and it is yeah, this is not convenient. In the previous iteration, there was this brass window, but it is heavy, it is expensive, and it's actually out of stock. So I want to address the charging problem. I want to place the charging controller back inside, and I want, yeah, and there are a couple other things I want to improve, and we'll see if it works out or not. And for 2025, I'm trying to fit everything into this size. It's very important for me to make the device magical, interesting, comfortable to use, very user friendly. It all contributes to the experience that it creates to the people, and every millimeter I win makes it easier to use, to carry around, to carry on the neck. So I'm fighting hard to fit the new hardware into this even smaller form factor. Currently, I'm using 3D printing for prototype. I think I will still use wood for the final version because I really love how it feels. I really love the ancient look, the magic that wood can provide. Also, CNC machining is better at small details than 3D printing, but we'll see. key challenge right now is to make the new hardware layout inside and test that everything works. So, so it's a third year of working on this project. There is much more going on behind the scenes. The software, manufacturing, collaboration with other people, communication with official Burning Man API to make this happen. If you're interested, if you like that idea, then I will be sharing more details on YouTube and Instagram as I move along through this, through iterations, through the process. And yeah, please subscribe, uh, share your comments, leave questions. I'll be happy to talk about it. And thank you for your time. See you next time.